Captain Jake Morrison stood in the great hall of the Galactic Council. The room was huge, bigger than any building on Earth. The walls were made of clear crystal that glowed with soft blue light. Hundreds of alien beings sat in rows around him, all looking down at the small group of humans in the center. Jake had been to this place many times over the past 10 years. He had hoped today would be different. He had hoped the Council would finally say yes to humanity. But deep in his heart, he knew better. Ambassador Lisa Grant sat behind Jake with the rest of the human team. She had spent 15 years working with these aliens. She had made friends with some of them. She had learned their languages and their customs. She had tried so hard to make them understand the humans were ready to join them as equals. The Zephyrian speaker stood up. He was tall and thin, with 4 arms and 6 eyes that blinked in patterns. His voice came through the translation device in Jake's ear. The Council has made its decision about humanity's request for full membership. Jake's hands were folded behind his back. He did not move. He had been a soldier for 30 years. He knew how to stand still, even when his heart was beating fast. After careful thought, we have decided that humanity is not ready for full membership. In the Galactic Council, you will remain as junior members for another 50 years. During this time, you may not expand beyond your solar system. Your military ships may only patrol Earth space. You may not vote on Council matters. Lisa felt her stomach drop. 50 more years. She would be dead by then. Her children would be old. Another generation of humans would grow up as second-class citizens in the galaxy. Colonel Steve Adams sat next to Lisa. His face was red with anger, but he kept quiet. He had learned to control his temper during these meetings. Getting angry only made the aliens think humans were too violent. Dr. Helen Brooks was in the front row of the human section. She was a small woman with gray hair who had spent her whole life trying to help other species. She had created medicines that saved millions of alien lives. She had solved food problems on 7 different worlds. She had built machines that gave clean energy to planets that were dying, but none of it mattered to the Council. The Phylorian delegate stood up next. He looked like a giant turtle with a long neck. Humans are too aggressive, he said. They solve problems with violence. They take risks that endanger others. They do not think before they act. They need more time to grow up as a species. Jake almost laughed. Too aggressive? Humans had stopped 3 wars in the past 5 years. They had saved the Kepler colonies from asteroid impacts. They had rescued alien ships that were lost in space. But somehow, they were too aggressive. The Voltarian speaker was next. She had blue skin and tentacles instead of arms. Humans are unpredictable, she said. They do not follow proper procedures. They change plans without asking permission. They cannot be trusted with important decisions. Dr. Brooks remembered last year when the Voltarian home world had a plague. The Council wanted to study it for 6 months before taking action. Humans had jumped in right away and saved 2 million lives. But that was called unpredictable. The meeting went on for 2 more hours. Alien after alien stood up to explain why humans were not good enough. They were too young as a species. They were too emotional. They asked too many questions. They did not respect authority enough. Jake listened to all of it. He had heard these same words for 10 years. The aliens would never change their minds. It did not matter what humans did. It did not matter how much they helped. It did not matter how many lives they saved. The aliens were afraid of humans, and fear made them cruel. When the meeting finally ended, the aliens began to leave. Some of them looked at the humans with pity. Others looked angry, as if the humans had wasted their time by even asking. Lisa stood up slowly. She felt very tired. She had given her whole adult life to this dream of joining the galactic community. She had learned 8 alien languages. She had lived on 6 different worlds. She had missed her daughter's childhood because she was always traveling for council business. For nothing, Steve Adams was already packing his papers. He had told his wife this would happen. She had asked him why he kept going to these meetings. Now he knew she was right. This was a waste of time. Dr. Brooks sat alone for a long time after the others left. She thought about all the projects she had to stop working on. The council would not let humans continue their research without full membership. All her work to help sick aliens would have to end. Jake was the last human in the Great Hall. He looked around at the beautiful crystal walls and the empty seats. This place had seemed so important when he first came here. It had felt like the center of the universe. Now it just felt like a prison. A young Zephyrian approached him. This was Keth, one of the few aliens who had always been kind to humans. "I am sorry, Captain Morrison," Keth said quietly. "I voted for your people. Some of us did, but not enough." "Thank you, Keth," Jake said. "I know you tried. Will you come back next year?" "You can apply again." Jake looked at the alien for a long moment. Keth meant well, but he did not understand. "No," Jake said. "We will not be coming back." Keth's 6 eyes blinked in surprise. "But you must not give up. Change takes time." "We have given you 10 years," Jake said. "We have saved your people's lives. We have shared our technology. We have followed your rules. And you still treat us like children. We are done asking for permission to be equals." Jake turned and walked toward the exit where his team was waiting. Lisa, Steve, and Helen all looked at him with questions in their eyes. "Pack everything," Jake told them. "We are going home, and we are not coming back." "But, Jake," Lisa said, "what about the Alliance? What about our research projects? What about the trade agreements?" Jake stopped walking and turned to face his people. "What about them? They have made it clear we are not welcome here. So we will go where we are welcome. We will find our own way." As they walked through the crystal corridors toward their ship, none of the humans spoke. They all knew this was the end of something. But maybe, Jake thought, it was also the beginning of something better. The council had made their choice. Now humanity would make theirs. 6 months had passed since Jake Morrison and his team left the council chambers. The news had spread across human space like wildfire. Earth's government had made the decision official. All humans would leave council territory and return home. Commander Alex Turner stood on the observation deck of Kepler Station, watching a last human transport ship dock. The station was massive, floating in space like a metal city. For 12 years, Alex had worked here as the chief of operations. He knew every corridor, every system, every problem that could go wrong. The Zephyrian station commander, Vex 9, approached him nervously. "Commander Turner, are you certain about this? The station needs human expertise. We cannot run everything without you." Alex looked at the alien with tired eyes. "You should have thought about that before the council vote. We offered to help. As equals. You wanted us as servants. Now you get neither." Alex had trained 17 different alien species to work on the station, but most of them only learned specific jobs. When something new broke, they called the humans to fix it. When the computers had problems, they asked humans to solve them. When 2 alien groups could not work together, humans helped them find solutions. The humans had been the glue that held everything together. Now that glue was being removed. On the industrial world of Gamma Centauri, factory manager Kate Phillips was shutting down the last human-operated plant. The factory made parts for spaceships that were sold all across the galaxy. Kate had built this operation from nothing 12 years ago. The Voltarian owners had always treated her well, but they never understood how the factory really worked. They thought humans just followed instructions like machines. They did not see how humans could look at a problem and find 3 different ways to solve it. "Mrs. Phillips," said the Voltarian supervisor, "surely you can leave some humans behind." "To train our people?" Kate shook her head. "My people are coming home. You can read the instruction manuals we left behind." "Good luck." A Voltarian looked worried. "But what if something goes wrong? What if the machines break in a way we have not seen before?" "Then you will figure it out," Kate said. "You are smart beings. You will learn." But Kate knew better. The aliens were smart, but they thought differently than humans. They followed rules and procedures. When something new happened, they formed committees and studied it for months. Humans just rolled up their sleeves and got to work. "Lieutenant?" Commander Roy Baker was leading the final human patrol through the outer rim. His small fleet of ships had kept peace in this area for 20 years. Pirates, smugglers, and raiders all knew to stay away when humans were watching. His communication officer, Jenny Walsh, looked up from her station. "Sir, we are getting distress calls from 6 different systems. Should we respond?" Roy looked at the star map. All the calls were from places that would soon be outside human protection. "Negative. We are heading home." "Let the council handle it," Jenny frowned. "But sir, people are dying." "People have been dying for months," Roy said sadly. "The council knows this. They chose to lose our protection when they rejected our membership. We cannot save everyone." It was hard to ignore the calls for help. Humans had a natural urge to help others in trouble. But Earth's orders were clear. All human ships must return home immediately. No exceptions. At the council's main medical center, Dr. Lara Hayes was packing up her research. She had worked here for 8 years, developing treatments that worked on multiple alien species. Her team had saved thousands of lives. The hospital director, a tall insect-like being named Click 7, watched her sadly. "Dr. Hayes, your departure will cause many deaths. Our doctors cannot do what you do." Laura stopped packing and looked at the alien. "Then maybe the council should have thought about that before calling us too dangerous for full membership." "But you are healers," Click 7 said. "How can you leave when people need you?" "We are healers," Lara agreed. "But we are also humans, and humans deserve respect. We will heal human patients from now on." The truth was that human doctors had a special gift. They could understand how different species' bodies worked together. Other alien doctors were experts on their own kind, but humans could see the bigger picture. They could find connections that others missed. Without human doctors, the hospital would still function. But many patients who could have been saved would die instead. The biggest shock came when the council tried to access their computer systems. Engineer Sam Collins had designed the security for most of the council's networks. He had built them to be safe from hackers and enemy attacks, but he had also built them to need human oversight. The passwords changed every day. The security protocols required human approval for major changes. The backup systems needed human technicians to maintain them. From his new office on Earth, Sam watched the reports coming in. Council systems were failing all across the galaxy. Their communication networks were down. Their trade computers were locked. Their military systems were offline. His assistant, Carol Reed, looked at the messages piling up on Sam's desk. "They are offering us anything we want to come back and fix their systems." Sam laughed bitterly. "Too little, too late. We offered to help them as partners. They wanted us as hired help. Now they can figure it out themselves." President Mary Johnson addressed the human colonies from Earth. Her speech was broadcast to every human settlement in the galaxy. "My fellow citizens, today we begin a new chapter in human history. We will no longer beg for acceptance from those who do not value us. We will build our own future." The president announced new exploration missions beyond the edge of known space. Human ships would search for new worlds and new opportunities. They would not be limited by council rules anymore. We offered the galaxy our friendship, the president continued. We offered our knowledge, our protection, and our help. They chose to reject us, so we choose to leave them behind. Within days, human ships from dozens of worlds began heading toward Earth. Scientists abandoned their research stations. Doctors left their hospitals. Engineers shut down their projects. Soldiers packed up their weapons. The great human exodus had begun. The aliens watched in growing panic as the humans disappeared. They had never realized how much they depended on human skills and human thinking. They had taken human help for granted for so long that they forgot it could be taken away. Some aliens tried to convince individual humans to stay. They offered money, promotions, and special privileges. But the humans had made their choice. They were going home. The council had wanted to keep humans as junior partners forever. Instead, they had lost them completely. And as the last human, ships left council space. The aliens began to understand what they had really lost, that it was not just workers and soldiers and doctors. They had lost the people who made everything work better. They had lost their problem solvers, their bridge builders, their fixers of impossible situations. They had lost their future. 1 year had passed since the last human ship left council space. Admiral Ben Carter sat in his office on Earth, reading reports that came in every day from across the galaxy. The news was not good for the aliens. The first crisis had started in the Outer Rim territories. Without human patrol ships, pirates had become bold. They attacked trade convoys and raided peaceful colonies. The Krillian raiders, who had been quiet for 20 years, were now striking 3 times a week. Admiral Carter's communication officer, Linda Stone, brought him the latest message from the Thalorian hegemony. Sir, they are begging for military assistance again. They lost another colony ship yesterday. Ben read the message and shook his head. The same people who called us too aggressive are now asking us to fight their battles. Tell them we are not available. The Thalorians had been the loudest voices against human membership in the council. They had given long speeches about human violence and the need for peaceful solutions. Now their border worlds were burning, and they had no idea how to stop it. Their own military was weak. They had not fought a real war in 50 years. They had always depended on human ships to handle the dangerous work while they stayed safe behind their barriers. Commissioner Joan Davis was tracking the collapse of galactic commerce from her office on Luna Station. The numbers were terrible. Trade between alien species had dropped by 60%. Supply chains that had worked for decades were completely broken. The problem is simple, Joan explained to her staff. Most alien species do not trust each other. Humans were the middlemen who made deals possible. Without us, old hatreds are coming back. The Voltarians would not trade directly with the Zephyrians because of a war they fought 300 years ago. The Thalorians refused to deal with the Kepler colonies because of religious differences. The Andorian merchants would not sell to anyone who had tentacles instead of arms. Humans had been neutral. They had no old grudges against alien species. They could make deals with anyone, and everyone trusted them to be fair. But now the humans were gone, and no one else could take their place. Chief Engineer Bill Thompson was working on Earth's new deep space exploration program when his old alien colleagues started calling for help. His communication device rang 20 times a day with desperate messages from across the galaxy. The warp drive systems that Bill had designed were failing everywhere. The aliens had the instruction manuals, but they did not understand the theory behind the technology. When something broke in a new way, they could not figure out how to fix it. Mr. Thompson, said his assistant, Gary White, the Kepler station engineers are offering to pay us 10 million credits just to answer their questions about the main reactor. Bill deleted the message without reading it. They had their chance to work with us as equals. They chose to treat us like servants. Now they can solve their own problems. The truth was that human engineering was different from alien engineering. Aliens built things to work perfectly under specific conditions. Humans built things to work even when everything went wrong. Human machines could be fixed with spare parts and creative thinking. Alien machines needed exact replacements and perfect procedures. Without humans to maintain them, the hybrid human-alien systems were breaking down all across the galaxy. Not Dr. Patricia Lee was now running Earth's new medical research center when the plague reports started coming in. The diseases were spreading fast through alien populations, and their doctors could not stop them. The first outbreak was on the Voltarian home world. A virus that jumped between species was killing thousands every day. The local doctors tried the old treatments, but nothing worked. They needed someone who understood how the virus affected different kinds of biology. Dr. Lee, said her research assistant, Paul Green, they are describing symptoms we have never seen before. This could spread to human space if we do not help stop it. Patricia looked at the medical data. The virus was indeed dangerous, but it would take months to develop a treatment. The aliens wanted humans to drop everything and save them immediately. Send them our basic research on cross-species infections, Patricia decided. They can figure out the rest themselves. We have our own people to protect now. It was a hard choice, but humans had to put their own species first. For too many years, they had spent their resources helping aliens while their own colonies went without proper medical care. The Council's research programs had completely stopped working. Dr. Richard Stone was leading humanity's new science projects when he heard about the failures. Alien scientists were smart, but they worked differently than humans. They formed committees to study every decision. They wrote reports about writing reports. They spent months arguing about the right way to ask questions. Meanwhile, human scientists would have already found 3 possible answers and started testing them. The Ephirian Academy wants to hire human consultants, reported his assistant, Nancy Clark. They are offering to pay whatever we ask. Richard laughed. They spent 15 years telling us our methods were sloppy and unscientific. Now they want to copy our methods. The answer is no. The worst problem was political. Without humans to serve as neutral mediators, the council species were fighting among themselves. Old territorial disputes that had been settled for decades were starting again. The Phylorians blamed the Zephyrians for humanity's departure. The Zephyrians accused the Voltarians of being too greedy in their demands. The Kepler colonies were angry at everyone for losing human protection from pirates. Council meetings became shouting matches. Species that had worked together for centuries were now threatening each other with trade wars and military action. Some members were talking about leaving the council entirely. Captain Jake Morrison, now an admiral commanding Earth's exploration fleet, received more and more desperate messages from alien leaders. They offered everything they could think of to bring humans back: full council membership, voting rights, control over military operations, seats on the ruling committee. Some even offered to make humans the leaders of the entire council. Admiral, said his aide, Commander Susan Bell, the council president himself sent a personal message. He says they made a mistake and wants to negotiate. Jake read the message and felt no satisfaction in being proven right. Tell him that humans are no longer interested in council membership. We have found better opportunities elsewhere. It was true. Human exploration ships had discovered new star systems rich in resources. They had made contact with 2 new alien species who were eager to trade and learn from humans. These new aliens treated humans as equals from the first meeting. The galaxy was a big place, and humans were finding their own path through it. Meanwhile, the old council was falling apart. Species were leaving to form their own alliances. Trade was collapsing. Technology was failing. Medical crises were spreading. Pirates and raiders were attacking everywhere. The civilization that had rejected humans as too dangerous was destroying itself through fear, mistrust, and incompetence. They had possessed something precious in their partnership with humanity, and they had thrown it away. Now they were learning what the galaxy looked like without humans to hold it together. And they did not like what they saw. 3 years had passed since humans left Council space. General Paul Andrews stood at the window of Earth's Defense Command, watching the news reports from across the galaxy. The Galactic Council was officially dead. The final council meeting had been a disaster. Only 12 species showed up out of the original 43 members. They spent 6 hours arguing about who was responsible for the collapse. No decisions were made. No problems were solved. When the meeting ended, 3 more species announced they were leaving to form their own alliances. "General," said his aide, Captain Maria Santos, "we are getting reports that the Phylorian homeworld is under attack. Their government is asking for emergency assistance." Paul did not even look up from his coffee. Not our problem anymore. They made that clear 3 years ago. The same aliens who had called humans too aggressive were now being conquered by enemies they could not fight. Their peaceful philosophy worked fine when humans were protecting them. Without that protection, they were helpless. Dr. Susan Clark was leading humanity's first contact mission with the Meridian Collective. Her ship, the New Horizon, approached the Meridian homeworld with hope instead of fear. These aliens were different from the Council species. The Meridians were young as a spacefaring race, only 50 years since their first faster-than-light flight. But they were eager to learn and quick to adapt. When they met humans, they did not see competitors or threats. They saw potential friends and teachers. "Dr. Clark," said the Meridian ambassador, "Colonine, your people's technology is remarkable. We would be honored to learn from you." Susan smiled. It felt good to be welcomed, instead of feared. "We would be happy to share our knowledge. In return, perhaps you can teach us about your energy systems. We have never seen anything like them." This was how first contact should work. 2 species meeting as equals, both offering something valuable, both eager to learn. The Council species had forgotten how to do this. They had become too proud and too afraid. Ambassador Lisa Grant was now working for the Human Colonial Alliance, a new organization that managed humanity's expanding territory. Her job was completely different from her old council work. Instead of begging for acceptance, she was choosing which alien species deserved to work with humans. "Ambassador," said her assistant, Robert Kim, "we have received formal contact requests from 18 different species this month. They all want to establish trade relations with humanity." Lisa looked at the list. Some of these species had been council members who had voted against humanity. Others were new contacts who had heard about human success and wanted to be part of it. "Send the standard response," Lisa decided. "We will consider applications from species who demonstrate respect for human sovereignty and offer genuine partnership. We are not interested in becoming anyone's junior partners ever again." The applications kept coming. Species that had ignored humanity for decades were now desperate to establish relationships. They offered resources, technology, and favorable trade terms. Some even offered to become human protectorates in exchange for security. But humans were careful now. They had learned from their experience with the Council. They would not make the same mistakes again. Commander Karen Ross ran Earth's deep space monitoring stations. Her job was to listen to communications from across the galaxy and report on developing situations. The news was always bad for the former Council species. "Commander," reported her technician Danny Walsh, "the Voltarian industrial system has completely collapsed. They are asking every species in the galaxy for help rebuilding their factories. Karen was not surprised. The Voltarians had always been good at following instructions, but terrible at innovation. When their human-designed systems broke down, they could not figure out how to build new ones. "Any responses to their requests?" Karen asked. "None so far. Most species are dealing with their own problems. The few that could help are demanding terms the Voltarians cannot accept." This was happening everywhere. The old cooperative spirit of the Council was gone. Each species was looking out for themselves first. Without humans to serve as neutral mediators and problem solvers, the former allies had become strangers at best and enemies at worst. Admiral Jake Morrison commanded humanity's largest exploration fleet from his flagship, the Enterprise. His ships had mapped 12 new star systems and established contact with 4 previously unknown alien species. All of them were eager to work with humans. His communication officer, Lieutenant Tony Martinez, brought him the daily reports from human space. "Admiral, Earth reports that colonial applications are up 400% this year. We have more volunteers for exploration missions than we can use." Jake was pleased, but not surprised. Humans had always been explorers at heart. The Council had tried to keep them locked in one small corner of the galaxy. Now that they were free, they were showing what they could really do. "Any word from the Council remnants?" Jake asked. The usual desperate messages. The Thalorian Chancellor sent another personal plea yesterday. He offered to make humanity the senior partner in a new alliance. Jake deleted the message without reading it. Too little too late. "We tried to work with them for 15 years. They chose to reject us. Now we choose to ignore them." The truth was that humans no longer needed the Council species. They had found better partners among the younger races. Species like the Meridians were grateful for human help and eager to contribute their own knowledge. They treated humans as equals from the beginning. Meanwhile, the old Council world struggled with problems they could not solve. Their technology was failing without human maintenance. Their trade networks were broken without human mediation. Their security forces were overwhelmed without human military support. Some Council species tried to rebuild their civilization using pre-human methods, but they had grown dependent on human innovations. Their old ways of doing things no longer worked in the modern galaxy. Other species tried to copy human techniques without understanding the thinking behind them. They built machines that looked like human designs, but did not work properly. They wrote laws that sounded like human policies, but created chaos instead of order. A few alien leaders finally understood what they had lost. They realized that humans had not been trying to take over the galaxy. They had been trying to make it better for everyone. But this understanding came too late to change anything. The former Council species had made their choice 3 years ago. They had chosen fear over friendship, suspicion over cooperation, pride over progress. Now they were living with the results of that choice. Humanity had also made a choice. They had chosen to leave behind those who did not value them and find those who did. They had chosen to build their own future instead of begging for permission to participate in someone else's. The galaxy was vast and full of opportunities. Humans were exploring it with new friends who appreciated their gifts. They were building colonies on worlds the Council had never dreamed of reaching. They were solving problems the Council had thought impossible. The Council had fallen apart, just as everyone had predicted. But from its ashes, something better was growing. Humanity was no longer asking to join the galactic community. They were building their own community, one that welcomed all species as equals. The aliens who had rejected humans as too dangerous had learned the hard way that humans were not dangerous to those who treated them with respect. They were only dangerous to those who tried to keep them down. And in the end, that had made all the difference.